Chris, we're back with another episode of Silver Shield Behind the Strike. This week's public release is Eternal Watch, continuing the Honor Guard series. For Silver Shield group members, the members-only release, The Spider, continuing World War meme series. Both releases go live Thursday, August 27th at noon Eastern Time and are available for only 7 days until Thursday, September 3rd at noon Eastern Time. Now, before we get into the artwork, I wanted to start with silver itself. Last week, you called this a golden period for people who already have generic bullion to start high grading in scarcity. More meaningful silver as another week passes. What are you watching in the physical market that would tell you the window is starting to get tighter?
The gold to silver ratio is the guiding force of all of this. Right now it's at a 1 to 67 gold to silver ratio, meaning that it takes 67 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. That ratio is my guiding force of all things that I've been doing through this. I wanted to measure silver against gold, the Dow, and housing, and they're all at historic levels where silver is undervalued relative to those three assets, much less all the other assets on Earth. So the gold to silver ratio is the first ratio that I would find, and knowing that the real out of the ground gold to silver ratio is a 1 to 6 gold to silver ratio. For every 1 ounce of gold that's found, there's only 6 ounces of silver. That's how rare silver is. And then the above ground stocks, there's only about 1 to 2 times amount of ounces. There are 6 times more silver or gold ounces above ground than there are silver ounces in vaults. So the gold to silver ratio has got to collapse down to at least a single digit ratio, which would have silver outperforming gold at least 10 times on the way up relative to the price of gold. So that means that the price of gold doesn't even really have to move, and silver can move from here to $450 an ounce and compress the gold to silver ratio down to a 1 to 6 gold to silver ratio. I think that's where the easiest money is going to be made. But I think this whole thing is going to happen way too fast, and that we're actually going to have, instead of a price march up over time, it's going to sell out, and then there's not going to be any silver to sell on the paper markets, on the physical market, and then that's going to be an ultimate point where silver's going to sell out, and there will be oceans of gold available. Then people will realize that there's a lot more gold out there than there was claimed to be because of the artificial scarcity that the Rothschilds cornered the gold market many years ago, and then they've used it to create fiat money, debt-based money, and get the whole world into debt into their central banks. And this is the way out of it. A hyperinflation of physical silver above all other assets will pay off all the debts with 1 ounce of silver. And that's what I think ultimately that the people that follow me are really shifting for, that this is a global generational debt-based fiat Ponzi collapse that's going to happen. And when it does, the people that are going to stack physical silver, and Silver Shield in particular, are going to be the wealthiest and wisest people on Earth in a world where all the markets, governments, corporations, religions, banks, militaries all collapse all in the same day because they're all built off of this Ponzi power that's going to pop. And when it does, it's going to leave Silver Shield stackers alone at the top with unobtainium wealth. That means that your silver will be worth more than any currency out there because they're going to be going through a global hyperinflation to keep these markets going in a crack-up boom hyperinflation. And all that money is going to flow down Exeter's pyramid of $2.5 quadrillion worth of wealth from the illiquid digital illusions of wealth like cryptocurrencies, derivatives, stocks, bonds, real estate, even cash. You can see in the currency wars and the rising bond rates that are going on that we're heading to a point where they're going to be printing more and more money just to keep the system going. And then they're eventually going to flee into gold. And I already mentioned before that the gold to silver ratio still favors silver as a 1 to 67. You can get 67 times your ounces of physical silver if you do a straight up trade. Not that there's premiums involved and stuff like that. But right now it's still a very bullish place to be for physical silver.
When a stacker has already built a basic position, what makes a weekly Silver Shield release worth choosing over simply adding another generic ounce?
Oh, well, I look at it as I try to come up with a compelling design that gets you to stack on a consistent basis to dollar cost average over time. I came into this 15 years ago saying silver in physical possession is your only way out. And I tried to create over 100 or 700 different designs over these past 15 years to convince people to buy on a daily basis. And because we only mint what we sell, these tend to go up in price over time. It ends up being choice where you're like, well, I worry about paying the premium of getting this collector's coin. But once you've had them and had a couple of them and watched them appreciate over time, where the only other choice out there are the government mints and generic bullion that will never command much more than spot. Silver Shield will always retain higher value for people that stack it, because the people that are stacking it, for the most part, are stacking for their children and grandchildren to have silver that tells the story of why they committed all their time and wealth into this one asset class when they could have been doing anything. They could have vacationed and see the world. They could have been buying stocks, buying Ferraris, buying collectors' cars and big homes and stuff and vacations. But no, they chose to sacrifice now, knowing that this is probably the only time that you're going to be able to stack physical silver, because once the price of silver goes up, you'll never be able to buy more than a few scraps of it because the price of silver is going to go up. I think silver is going to be so valuable that it's not even going to be used as money. It's going to be used as trading wealth between kings generationally, that this wealth is going to be the most collected and most cherished of all the physical silver out there. This unique, teeny little microcosm of an IPO microcosm of a market of Silver Shield on eBay is a few thousand coins for a few $100s. And I think somebody's going to come in and front run this and buy up all the physical Silver Shield on eBay, and that'll end up being the last weak hands collection that will ultimately tip the market in the physical silver, because that fact alone of Silver Shield selling out on eBay will spook the silver stackers that are online and the dealers, and they'll withhold their inventory offline, knowing that something unalterably has changed in the market, that my silver voice that's been silenced for 15 years finally gets out, and we sell out all physical silver that leads to a default of this COMEX, the LBMA, and the Shanghai all at the same time, where all the paper silver traders suddenly all stand for delivery, knowing that this is something that's changed and they all want out.
Let's start with Silver Shield's public release, Eternal Watch, continuing the Honor Guard series. The first thing that jumps out is the contrast. She looks like she belongs to the ancient world, but she's standing in front of a modern city. What did you want that clash of eras to say?
I wanted her to be this timeless figure that has been standing and watching forever. Like nothing, God sees everything, and eventually there's going to be a judgment day where he comes down and says, I see everything, and this is all going to be paid for in one judgment day. And I think that there's angels and guardians that are above us that are watching all the horror crimes that are going on, knowing that this is all playing out to one final day. God, the devil may win every single day, but God only needs one day to have eternal victory over all evil. And I think blockchain is actually going to be a unique technology in making sure that does happen, that all crimes will be tracked and traced and trapped and mapped with blockchain technology, that all criminals will be tracked on this, and that this Endless Watch series, this idea of this persona watching for time on end, that this has not gone unnoticed, will eventually become noticed and punished for it, and that's where I think this coin is going.
Now, before going into the members coin, for collectors who have followed the Honor Guard series, what does Eternal Watch add that you hadn't put into the series before?
First of all, it's a woman. Like I haven't done any of them with women. I like the idea of the strong woman, but I really want them to be at home with their children and taking care of the other side of life, and let men do this. But this is her taking her helmet off, and maybe it's time for her to go get married and have some kids and do something else. But the Eternal Watch series is going to progress. There's another one where I have a male figure, and he's in a much more dominant position. You'll see in the design. But this one I think is going to be a good one for people to carry.
Now let's move to the Silver Shield Group members only release, the Spider, continuing the World War meme. This one of these designs where the central metaphor is impossible to miss. You put Jeffrey Epstein right in the center and literally build the spider around him. Why was the spider the right metaphor for the message you wanted the coin to carry?
If you were to take Jeffrey Epstein's empire that he built, he built it like a spider would build a web. And he made it through connections that are very thin, meetings that people, once they got to meet him, they got on his good side, and he was able to, negotiate things and meet people and connect people. And he was a mover and shaker, and ultimately supplied them with underage children. This imagery of him as a spider, I think, is the perfect imagery of him, making him into this diabolical creature that systematically hunted and preyed upon the most powerful people in the world. I mean, Epstein admitted that he worked for the Rothschilds themselves. I have pictures of Jeffrey Epstein getting blessed by the Pope himself. I don't remember the Pope coming to see me, but boy, he's got the Pope blessing him and Ghislaine. So this characterization of him put on this coin will forever remind people that this guy was a spider that connected all this thing, and that we cannot let this story go. Just because he's gone, I don't think he committed suicide. I think he's still alive. But just because he's gone from the public view, this still connects the Rothschilds and the banking system with government and religion and the academia and the celebrities and the children. I mean, the most part of this. So this can't go away yet.
The web fills almost the entire coin. What does the web represent to you behind Epstein himself?
That's the connections. That's every dot of where the web meets itself. That's another connection that's all tied together, and their fates are all tied together. That's the unique thing about this. He tied them all together into one story, and I think that's what's going to end up leading to a singularity of truth when this comes out, and that the wealthiest and most powerful people on earth are brought to justice. And when this happens, it'll be the single largest event in human history. Pam Bondi, our former attorney general, said that if we prosecuted everybody on the Epstein files, the whole system would collapse. That's the most bullish statement that I could possibly hear, because that system is a satanic system that has enslaved us all with debt and death. People are dying because of the amount of debt that they're been brought onto them, and we haven't even felt the full effects of what a hyperinflation is going to be. And I'm telling you, the only way to fight against the system and the only way to protect against the system is stacking silver shield, or stacking silver, and silver shield's going to be the most important silver to stack on the other side of it, because for 15 years we've been screaming from the top of our lungs in our art and our music and our designs that we've been doing that this is a system that is wholly unholy and needs to be brought to an end. And silver becoming a defaulted upon asset where they have to cash settle force majeure this market is the only way that this is going to get the attention of the whole world and eventually stop all markets, banking systems, governments, militaries, religions, corporations. Everything's going to stop when the physical silver market sells out. And I know that I'm going to be a big part of that.
The write-up for the spider uses the phrase hidden in plain sight. But on the coin, he's literally dead center and impossible to miss.
Yeah.
What were you trying to say with that contrast?
I was trying to say that he's been caught like a spider. You see them in the web and you see all the work that they did, and yet you don't want that spider in your house. So you take down all that work in one day, just wipe it all down. And that's what I think that we should do. We should arrest all the people that are on the Epstein list. He's a co-conspirator. He's not even the head of the snake. This is a global revolution, and I think is an idea that needs a bigger reach. I need to get on to Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Joe Rogan. I would even talk to Howard Stern at this point, just to get this idea out there, because once it ends up happening, it's going to catch on and people are going to buy physical silver shield off of eBay. That's where it's going to sell out first. They're going to front run this crazy guy that got them onto this idea that they're going to commit the rest of their lives to investing in physical silver as a means of destroying the global empire of debt built on debt, and the only way of protecting their friends and family from the costly hyperinflation that's going to result from a crack-up boom hyperinflation.
World War meme often uses satire and blunt visual commentary. This one feels a little darker and more literal. What makes the spider a World War meme design?
Mainly because I think it fits with the broad scope of what's going on. The Epstein case is such a large case of influence that he has that it's of World War level. And I think ultimately this World War is being fought in memes. And that Jeffrey Epstein's case is such a glaring example of Israeli subterfuge and blackmail that it controls all of the power in the West. It's not just the United States with both parties being bought and paid for by AIPAC, or the president being called a Rothschild asset by people who worked for the Rothschilds. It's South America. There's all sorts of Israeli influence down there. It's the destabilization and throwing over of all the Middle Eastern countries to give way to their greater Israel project. That this Jeffrey Epstein case, this one case, would bring down the entire Mossad Israeli blackmail operation to show the world that this is a grotesque example of what these people in power would do.
Now, for anybody new watching or listening, you have the public release and you have a members-only release. Would you like to let the viewers know how they would be able to see, view, and possibly purchase or become a member?
Yep, yeah. If you go to silvershieldcoins.com, you can see under new releases every week at Thursday at noon. I release 2 new designs to try to get you to buy on a consistent basis to dollar cost average with these over time. Stack for your friends and your family, your children, your grandchildren. Stack once a week every one of these. And these coins will tell a story unlike any other silver that you can buy, and will go up in value over time faster than any other silver you can buy, because the mintages are so rare on these, and we only mint what we sell. You can go to silvershieldcoins.com. Now, if these impassioned ideas that I talk about resonate with you, they don't come for free. You have to join the Silver Shield group. It's $7 a month or $77 a year, and that will give you access to 1 extra coin that you can buy on a weekly basis. Usually it's my more controversial designs, my more meaningful designs, the ones that try to like really get you. But I try to put them in this in the Silver Shield group as that. I think over time that the Silver Shield group is going to grow into a global organization, and it'll be a part of a greater thing.
Chris, thank you again for taking us behind the strike. This week's public release is Eternal Watch from the Honor Guard series. For Silver Shield group members, the members only release is The Spider from the World War Meme series. Both releases go live Thursday, August 27th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time and are available for only 7 days until Thursday, September 3rd at noon Eastern Time. Visit silvershieldcoins.com and open the new release section. Anyone can purchase Eternal Watch during the release window. Silver Shield group members can access the Spider through the members only release section. Chris, thank you again, and thank you to everyone watching and listening. Let us know which part of today's conversation stood out to you, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Silver Shield Behind the Strike. Thank you.